Hello, Mr. Stolle here. So today we have a question here on what called on a parabola graph. Okay, so let's look at the question. Consider a quadratic function h with the following characteristics. The x of symmetry is the y-axis. So in your grade 10, you must know that your x of symmetry is always the y-axis, which is equals to x is equals to 0. Okay, so in this case here, this one is actually will be the equation of what is it? Equation of axis of symmetry. So put here a star, okay? That equation of axis of symmetry always is equal to x equal to 0 for grade 10, okay? Grade 10. Why grade 10? Because you are only doing vertical shift. Vertical shift at the moment, you are not doing a horizontal shift. Once you do horizontal shift, the x of symmetry is going to change, okay? Because you'll be shifting also left and right. But here, you are just shifting up and down. Your graph is just moving up and down in grade 10, so you must not worry too much. So in grade 10, there is only vertical shift. So grade 10, whenever you see this question, equation of axis of symmetry, x is equal to 0. Okay, now let's go on. The x-intercepts are -4 and 0. Now the graph casts the y-axis at -8. Now the question is saying the graph can be smiling, the graph can be frowning, can be said. But now, what guides you now to say, okay, which one to take? So in this case here, if we are to be told that the graph is cutting, so the graph is cutting, this just is enormously will sketch nicely here. But now here, if we're told that the graph is cutting at -8, for it to cut at -8 and again have -4 and 4 there, how should it be? It actually should be facing up, because otherwise, if it's going to face down, it means that it's not going to touch on -4 and also +4. Okay, so our graph here, we'll sketch our graph here, and let's just do a quick sketch here. Okay, so our graph there is gonna be like this, cutting there. Sorry about that. Okay, so there is our -8, because that we are told that it's actually what is it? So let's just say 0 and -8. That's where your graph is actually cutting the y-axis, and here is -4. There it's 4 and 0. Okay, -4 and 0. That's what we have. And here we have got our origin there. So here we're asked to sketch the graph of h on the same on a system of axes, clearly show all intercept with the axis. So we have shown this axis, the x in the x-axis, and also the y-axis. So here we also need to label that that's our y, that's our x. Okay, so in this case here, you get all your marks. Now, determine the equation of the graph in the form of h of x is equals ax squared plus q. But now, we don't need to stress here. We know that q is actually the y value, so y-intercept. So this is y-intercept, and with y-intercept, that's where your graph is cutting. So this is also the y-intercept. So when you're told that the graph is cutting at y-axis, that's our y-intercept. So that's our y-intercept there. So when we have our y-intercept, we have the q. So q is a -8. So here in this case, we can rewrite the equation and say h of x. So we are actually one step ahead here. So h of x is going to be equals to ax squared plus sorry, there is -8, because that's our q. So in this case now, we are now looking for a. But how do we get a? We need to substitute a coordinate. Now, which coordinate can we substitute here? We can substitute any coordinate, guys. We are looking for what? For x. So we can't substitute here the 0 and -8. Why? Because x is equal to 0. So once we put 0 there, it's gonna actually take away our a. So we need to substitute either the -4 or the +4. So in this case here, I think to substitute the negative 4 will actually be fine, or the 4, we can just take the 4 here, 4 and 0. So in this case here, we are having the y here as 0. 0 is going to be equals to our, what do we get there? We're going to get 4 squared. Okay, so it's going to be 4 squared. So either way, whether it's positive, negative 4 or positive 4, we are going to put it, let me use negative 4 here so that it becomes clear here. We must put it in a bracket. We square, we get a here minus 8, like that. So in this case, we're going to get 16. So it's going to, when we take that side, it's going to be negative 16 a equal to equal to 8. Okay, equals to negative 8. So that's what we get there. So once we do that, we're going to divide both sides by negative 16. So a is going to be equals to negative 8 over negative 16, which is going to give us 1 over 2. 1 over 2. So a is 1 over 2, or we can say a is 0, 5. So our a there is 0, 5. So, or 1 over 2. So let's use 1 over 2 there. It's going to be, so our equation now is going to be h of x is equals to 1 over 2 x squared minus 8. That's what we get there. Okay, so that's our equation. We get our a, we get our equation also, then that's it. Now let's move on to the next question here, which is saying write down the values of x for which h of x is less than 0. Okay, for which h of x is less than 0. Now, where is it less than 0? We see that h of x is less than 0 here. Okay, so h of x is less than 0 in this region here. So that's where h of x is less than 0. So let's just use here h of x less than or equal to 0 is from this point here to this point here. So let's just use red here, from this point here to this point. Okay, so that's where our graph is less than 0. Okay, so which point here is negative 4 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 4. That's what we do. That's what we see. So that's the answer there for question 5.3. Okay. Okay. So that's question 5.3 there. This one was 5.2. Okay. This one is 5.1. Now, write down the equation of k if kx is equal to negative h of x minus 6. So here we don't need to stress here, guys. Kx is equals to negative h of x minus 6. So which one is h of x? This is our h of x. So we're just going to say negative of that 1/2 x squared minus 8 minus 6. So what are we going to get there? We're going to get negative half x squared plus 8 minus 6, which is going to give us negative half x squared. 8 minus 6 is going to give us plus 2. That's our equation. Okay, so that's equation of k x. Okay, so here you don't need to stress. Once you see the negative outside, it means that negative is affecting it. We're just going to put negative outside the equation. But when we see that, maybe let's say, for example, here, this is not part of what we are being asked. Let's say it's h of negative x, like this. So they say maybe it's h of negative x. What you need to do is that where there is x, you must put negative. So in this case here, it will be actually what you call half of what you call negative x, okay, squared plus what? Not plus here, it's gonna be minus 8, which is gonna be remaining the same. So here it's gonna just remain the same in this case. So just remember that what your or when you are transforming, when you're doing any transformation, understand also how it affects your graph. Okay, so when it's negative inside, where there's x, you substitute negative inside. Okay, but when it's outside here, you just put also outside, and remember to put the bracket, because negative will be affecting the whole equation. Okay, until next time, guys, thank you so much. Bye-bye.